All right. So we have here their relative ages. 35 for your boy Terence Bud Crawford, Omaha, Nebraska's finest, and Guadalajara, Jalisco, Mexico, Canelo Alvarez, 33, 35. Terence is older, but he's had significant less wear and tear. He hasn't fought as many professional fights.
Hey, hear him. Down goes Frazier. Down goes Frazier.
Hey, what's up with it, fam? It's Top Boxing Minute, your favorite pharmaceutical engineer turned boxing analyst back at you with that uncut realness as only I can deliver it to you. Hold on a second. I'm in San Diego, y'all. We got a storm coming. The toilet paper's flying off the shelves. Of course, there's no water. I got the brittle filter and like a gallon at home. Apparently, it's going to rain cats and dogs. So hopefully I do fine during the course of the storm or whatever. It'll only last a couple days. I don't think it's going to be a hurricane. I think the hardest part of it is actually going to fade going east. Anyways, Terence Bud Crawford was on the Joe Rogan podcast. You got to love what Terence Crawford has been doing lately post Undisputed Championship fight with Errol Spence. It seems like now the normally quiet and anti-media friendly Terence Crawford has decided it's most advantageous, although it's a little bit late in his career, still greatly appreciated to see him making all the big media rounds. He's been on the the morning show, the Breakfast Club, and most recently he was on Joe Rogan's podcast, and that's huge. That's huge. So he was on Joe Rogan's podcast, and it got everyone in this big conversation because Joe Rogan asked him, what's his next step? I think most of us already knew Terence Crawford had full intentions of moving up to 154 pounds, but he goes on to mention that he'll fight the winner of Canelo versus Charlo because he has no interest in fighting Charlo if Charlo is not an undisputed champion. So for those of you who aren't keeping up on the situation, the WBO is going to permit Jermell Charlo to hold on to the title of undisputed during the build-up to the fight with Canelo Alvarez, and even all the way up to the date of the fight, September 30th. They're going to allow Jermell Charlo to use the name Undisputed, which is obviously the smart choice for marketing. Undisputed versus Undisputed. It's a historical fight regardless. But after September 30th, he will be forced to vacate that WBO belt, at which point Tim Tszyu will be elevated to full champion status because I think he currently has the interim WBO belt after he just got done knocking out Errol Spence's former opponent. What was his name? Ocampo? I could be wrong, but I remember it was Tim Tszyu ended up beating Tony Harrison. And I believe Tony Harrison was the one that was in the eliminator for that interim championship. So either way, the long and the short of it is Terence Bud Crawford has no intention of another fight unless it's for another undisputed championship at a higher weight division. So originally he had it in mind for 154 pounds. He was in an interview, and I forgot which platform. Was it the Porterway? It might have been the Porterway podcast. After the fight with Errol Spence, he told Sean Porter and the gang that he wants to fight Jermell Charlo for undisputed at 154 pounds. It's still contractual. He could be forced to meet the contractual obligation with Errol Spence because Errol Spence still has that rematch clause. I think he has until December to activate it, or if I'm not mistaken, it was 30 days after the fight, and then he has to have the fight by around December. I'm not sure how that works. I do know there's a rematch clause. Either way, I'm going to let Terence Bud Crawford tell it to you himself. Let me get the screen up here. So, all right, we're going to go here. And let's see if I can make that full screen. Can I do it full screen? There we go. And let me hit that play button so you can hear what Terence Crawford said himself.
I wanted to fight Jermell, but if he lose to Canelo, I always said, man, that's a big step. That's a big step. But for a person to go up 3 weight classes from 147 to 168 and to win and become undisputed, wow. I know I wanted to fight.
Okay. So that's Terence Crawford saying he wants to fight. And This is just a small snippet of the whole entire interview. You're welcome to go on the Joe Rogan podcast on YouTube and check out the whole interview if you want to see what was really going on and all the details of it. But essentially, he says that he is down to move up to 168 pounds to chase mythological legend status to fight the winner of Canelo Alvarez versus Jermell Charlo. Oddly enough, I feel like Canelo Alvarez is the heavy betting favorite going into it with Jermell Charlo. I feel like the odds would be closer if it was Terence Crawford moving up 3 weight divisions, strangely enough. It seems to me that in most people's minds, Terence Crawford would beat Jermell Charlo at 154 pounds. You'll find some people that would disagree with that, but I think in general, most boxing fans are of the belief that Terence Crawford would beat Jermell Charlo. Jermell, if you see this, my apologies. I'm just telling you what it is I notice when I'm looking out at the boxing social media comment section landscape. So if Big Mel sees this, I'm a fan. Undisputed at 154, great career. Regardless of what happens, you're likely going to go down in the Hall of Fame. And he's searching for history himself because if he beats Canelo Alvarez, in theory, he will be the double undisputed in 2 weight divisions at once. The last time we even had a chance at anything like that was in like the 40s and 50s with Homicide Hank Armstrong when he was the lightweight, welterweight, and middleweight world champion during a time when there was only 8 weight divisions, y'all. So there wasn't middleweight divisions. There wasn't super lightweight. There was super welterweight. There was lightweight. There was welterweight. There was middleweight. And he had all 3 straps at one time. And obviously that was in the 50s. It was a whole different era in boxing back then. But Terence Bud Crawford already made history in the 4-belt era by becoming the first fighter in the 4-belt era to go double undisputed, which was an impressive task, especially in the manner that he did against Errol Spence. That was an amazing fight. The odds were kind of tight with Terence as the slight betting favorite. He pulled it out, making history. Obviously, Jermell has a chance to make history. Canelo, what do you say about Canelo? An extra chance to make extra history. He's already the first person to ever be super middleweight undisputed 4-division boxing champion, pay-per-view face of boxing, yada, yada, yada. I think y'all know about Canelo already, right? He's the man in boxing. Everybody eats off the plate of Canelo Alvarez. When Canelo's fighting that fight week, whether the content or the platform you're listening to likes him or hates him, everyone's views goes up because the general public's views start looking at boxing again. That's what it means to be the face of boxing. Gervonta Davis, he moves the needle just like Canelo. Well, not just like Canelo does, but almost he's getting there. He's getting there. And Tank could be there if he plays his cards right and stays out of jail and all that stuff. But anyways, I think it's a fascinating proposition to have Canelo Alvarez versus Terence Crawford. A part of me really strongly believes Terence Crawford could pull it off. If anybody could pull off moving up 3 weight divisions and get a win against one of the all-time greats in Canelo Alvarez, it would be the all-time great Terence Bud Crawford. It could possibly play out like Manny Pacquiao against Oscar De La Hoya. For those of you that don't remember, way back in the day before Manny Pacquiao was a pay-per-view star, every fighter had to go through Oscar De La Hoya to become a pay-per-view attraction. This was like during the early burgeoning days of social media. Floyd was the one who really was one of the first ones to master social media for self-promotion. During this time when Oscar was beginning his reign, social media was still in its infancy, and you had to beat Oscar or at the very least fight Oscar De La Hoya to become a pay-per-view attraction. And Manny Pacquiao did so. He jumped up from lightweight to welterweight. That's 2 divisions. He jumped up from lightweight, skipped the junior welterweight division, 140-pound division, and fought Oscar De La Hoya. I believe Manny Pacquiao just got done beating David Diaz for a lightweight belt, one of the minor ones, not that any of them are minor, or was it a major one? Might have been the WBO. I don't remember. But I know he did beat David Diaz, moved up to fight Oscar De La Hoya, and effectively ended Oscar De La Hoya's career. Terence Crawford would have to move up 3 weight divisions. He's at 147. He would have to go up past 154, super welterweight, junior middleweight at 160, in another division, super middleweight, 168. That's a 14-pound jump. I believe it's 14 pounds. 7 plus 6. No, actually, it's more than that. Hold on a second. 47 to 54 is 7. Plus 6. 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. 20-pound jump? 21-pound jump. I don't really know. I'm bad at arithmetic. It's 7 plus 6 plus 8. So that's where it's at. Could he move up 2 divisions? They're roughly the same height. They share the same dimensions. If you look at where Canelo is at, so hold on, let me see if I can get this back on here again. How do I do that with this screen, y'all? You got to forgive me, y'all. I'm still trying to figure out how to work this. There we go. Bam. All right. So we have here their relative ages. 35 for your boy Terence Bud Crawford, Omaha, Nebraska's finest, and Guadalajara, Jalisco, Mexico, Canelo Alvarez, 33, 35. Terence is older, but he's had significant less wear and tear. He hasn't fought as many professional fights, hasn't fought as many rounds fighting. Actually, since we're here, let me kill this screen. And Canelo Alvarez has had almost double the amount of professional fights as has your boy Terence Crawford. So let me see if I can pull this up real quick. Is this even possible? Let's see. BoxRec. It is. Oh, well, give me the option. There you go. Okay. So let's open this up. And if we look at Saul Canelo Alvarez, right? You can see if you zoom in there, he has 472 professional rounds boxed. 472, y'all. That is a lot of rounds boxed. So let's see where Terence Crawford is. Hold on a second. Let me see if I can take this down. Stop that screen. And let me add this screen. Let's see where Terence Bud Crawford is right now on the BoxRec, y'all. I love this new StreamYard app that I got. I wasn't able to do this before in my previous videos. But look, so Terence Crawford, he has 233 fights. That's almost 200 less professional fights than Canelo Alvarez does, y'all. So, the guy. He's got a lot less mileage than Canelo Alvarez does. Stylistically, we've seen in the past with Canelo Alvarez, he's had a problem with movers. Guys like Floyd Mayweather, guys like Erislandy Lara, guys like Dimitri Bivol. Terence Crawford has that awkward movement, that awkward rhythm. He could switch hit. It would be a fun fight. I feel like I don't know who I would favor in that fight. The fact that I even think it's realistic for Terence Crawford to move up 3 weight divisions, we're living in such an awesome age of boxing, you guys. We really are. This year has been one of the best years for boxing ever. I can't even believe we're realistically discussing Terence Crawford versus Canelo Alvarez. Shoot, we're even talking about Terence Crawford versus Tank Davis. We're at the point now where I believe boxers are starting to understand that they have to take big risks to make big money. Ryan Garcia took a big risk against Gervonta Davis. He walked away with like $20 million. He didn't have to sacrifice that. But he took that risk, and now we ended up with all of these major big fights after that fight. So hopefully we see more of these kinds of fights in the future. It seemed like right after Ryan Garcia and Tank fought, that was when we had this fight fall through. Terence Crawford and Errol Spence. We had Josh Taylor fighting Teofimo Lopez. We had Lomachenko versus Devin Haney. Everybody was willing to take these risks for the glory. Thank God, because for a minute there, everyone was acting really scared. But anyways, boxing community, what do you think about Terence Crawford and his willingness to move up to 168 pounds to challenge the current face of boxing, Canelo Alvarez? Let me know in the comment section, y'all. Let's chop this one up. Hit that like button if you haven't already done so. Are you not already pressing follow? Good Lord. Why do I got to remind y'all? So I think one of the I'm going to move on from that subject. And one of the things that has just totally captured my imagination is this whole thing with Alycia Baumgardner. And it's still going on, y'all. Hold on. Let me clear out these screens. I'm working around my microphone right now. Get a better view here. So Alycia Baumgardner and the whole developing case with her positive PED test, it wasn't exactly the best look for her. Clearly, she tested positive for mesterolone and primobolan. And the interesting thing related to that whole case is that Alycia Baumgardner is adamant that there was some kind of incorrect thing that happened with the testing. We'll have to let the powers that be run their investigation. There are people on both sides of this. Of course, there's the typical pitchforks and torch people that automatically throw Alycia Baumgardner under the bus. And then there are the people who are by the droves, who are a significantly large percentage of very vocal people defending Alycia Baumgardner and saying that the drug testing system failed her. Either way, I'll be following track of that story as it develops because I think it's fascinating. Alycia Baumgardner is one of the biggest personalities and most well-known fighters in women's boxing as the undisputed 126-pound world champion. But Zolani Tete got a fight a couple years ago against Jason Cunningham out there across the pond in the UK. It was a regional fight under the Frank Warren banner, Queensberry Promotions. And he got a fourth-round knockout over Jason Cunningham. And he subsequently tested positive for Stanozolol. Pardon me if I butcher that name. I might work in pharmaceutical engineering, but I don't know steroids or the pronunciation of half this stuff. He tested positive. We barely found out as the boxing public last November, which was well over a year from when that fight first occurred. And the news dropped today that Zolani Tete got a 4-year ban. And that's kind of fascinating if you really think about it. What does one say? Why is there such different treatments over how these fighters get done? Let me see if I can share the screen and show the photo of it. So I'm learning, y'all. I'm learning. So we're going to share the screen. I believe it's here. No, that's not it. I'm trying to pull up the picture of Zolani Tete for you guys so you can see what I'm looking at. Maybe I won't be able to pull it up. There it is. So this is a picture of Zolani Tete on the website for Pro Box TV, which is an awesome independent boxing outfit. But Zolani Tete was handed a 4-year ban following his anti-doping test. You know, he's a 2-weight world champion, and he damn near killed the guy in the ring. Jason Cunningham, he had to go to the hospital after the knockout. And let me see if I can pull up the footage of this knockout for you guys. He beat him up nasty. When you look, it's weird because we see these type of things happen in boxing, and you don't believe it when you're watching these fights go down. But afterwards, when you hear about performance-enhancing substances, you're like, oh, okay. So here's a scene from their fight.
So
and
we're into the fourth. It's caught a lovely shot. Down goes Jason Cunningham. He's always had that kind of power, Zolani Tete. It's a peach of a shot.
A lot of time left here, Fletch. A lot of time left.
Worrying times for Cunningham. Tete's a good finisher, and the referee's having a look, and he's taking lots of punishment here, Cunningham. He's so accurate, and down he goes, and that's it.
Ooh, wee. Yeah, rough stuff, dude. When you see beatings like that, you know, in hindsight, that's when you see damn, that looked like some super duper, I'm doing juice type maneuvering. When you're just walloping full throttle like that, hey, some people have a killer instinct like that. But yeah, so he's getting banned 4 years for it. And it kind of drives home the philosophical and ideological issue of who gets treated how and why when it comes to these PED issues. It's so prevalent in boxing lately, you know, and I don't know, when does it stop, you guys? And when do we decide who to believe, who to give the benefit of the doubt to? Let me show you this screen. My friends over there at the Last Round podcast on their Twitter page left some cool stuff. If you look here, is it see if I can find the right page. So they pretty much broke down the kind of time people are getting suspended, and I'm trying to find this, y'all. There it is. It's definitely key regarding the inconsistency in the kind of time that these people are getting punished for. So as you can see, Zolani Tete, a 4-year ban for Stanozolol, Amir Khan, 2-year ban for Osterine. Philip Bowes, 4-year ban for Osterine. Lucas Brown, 6 months for Osterine. Liam Cameron, 4 years for cocaine. Oscar Valdez, A and B sample tests show positive results for prohibited, you already know, ephedrine. Eric Morales tested positive for clenbuterol and still fought Danny Garcia. Kid Galahad, 2-year suspension for Stanozolol, reduced to 18 months. Canelo got suspended after clenbuterol. I believe that was a 6-month suspension. Don't quote me on that one, but I know it wasn't a very long one. Tyson Fury had that issue with nandrolone, and they blamed it on contaminated pig meat. So, yeah, Alycia Baumgardner has been adamant that this was a mistake in the system, and who knows what the progression is or where this case leads to, but I'm following it closely. Boxing community. Oh, Eddie Hearn was interviewed. Not Eddie Hearn. Goodness. Queensberry Promotions, Frank Warren was interviewed. I believe it was by IFL TV. And to add to the conspiracies, no, this is on No Smoke Boxing. So on No Smoke Boxing, they had Frank Warren speaking on Alycia Baumgardner's positive test results. And Frank Warren says, what I found concerning was apparently she allegedly was going to leave Matchroom. Now, if you watch the last video I dropped, Jessica McCaskill was on the Boxing Voice, and she dropped a comment about Alycia Baumgardner being in her last fight of her contract with Matchroom Boxing and Eddie Hearn, and that this could be possibly an inside job. You guys, this is so ridiculous, which is obviously, if you can't corroborate accusations or allegations that's salacious, you're best not to say it. And it made it odd that it was Jessica McCaskill saying it, because she has a title fight coming up in Orlando under Matchroom against Ryan. Gosh, what's her name? I'm forgetting her name. Ryan is her last name, but she said her 1 fight into her 3-fight contract. And Eddie caught wind of it. Eddie filed a cease and desist order with her husband, Rick Ramos, who is also her trainer and her manager. And, you know, it's like, it's all bad. It's all bad. Everyone is defending Alycia Baumgardner. And obviously she's, you know, put a lot of hard work in with the media, made herself very accessible. She's very friendly, very eloquent, very charming to speak to. She looks great in front of a camera when she talks, and is such a great ambassador for the sport that it's hard not to get wrapped up in the emotional knee-jerk reaction of saying, ain't no way it was AB, not Alycia, no. Yeah, we all love Alycia Baumgardner, so it's fascinating, y'all. And Frank Warren only added fuels to the fire by talking about what's disturbing. And of course, Frank Warren owns Queensberry Promotion. Him and Eddie Hearn have been promotional rivals since inception, since Eddie was, you know, a young buck under his father, Barry Hearn, doing, you know, tournaments, dark tournaments or what have you, before they went into boxing. Anyways, folks, what do you think about Terence Crawford? His willingness to fight Canelo? What about Alycia Baumgardner, y'all? What do you think? What do you think about the Zolani Tete 4-year ban from boxing? Does it even matter with Alycia Baumgardner? Man, I don't know. Anyways, let me know in the comment section. Hit that like button. I hope you're already following. This is Hot Boxing Minute, y'all. The future of boxing analysis on YouTube and TikTok. Just watch. Peace.